another episode of High Voltage. I'm your host, I'm best-selling international author MacKenzie Nelson, and I'm thrilled you could be here today to join me to discuss a topic that has been presented to me via my travels to visit my father, who currently has stage 3 colorectal cancer. He still has a chemo treatment that I believe he's getting done today as I record this episode. And another one after that, and he'll have 28 straight days of radiation. Prior to his diagnosis, in my book, My Father's Feathers, I felt called by God to share the story of what my journey has been from the earliest I can remember up until modern day. Now, this was released back in September, so much has happened even in the 9-10 month span since this has been released. So many people have really revealed who they really are, for better or for worse. So this podcast is a great way to keep you updated on the developments since I have published my book. So in the book, I attempt to clear my father's name, right? He got blamed for molesting me when he never did it. And unfortunately, I didn't remember any of it happening. I had no idea that this was a topic being discussed behind my back. I didn't really even know what had happened to me until I was 18. And my first sexual encounter, I had like a lot of extra tissue with no explanation. Why is this here? It shouldn't be. So my mom took me to the gynecologist. She explained to her that it was indicative, of child molestation. And upon hearing my mom in the parking lot tell me, I know it was your dad. He must have done this when you were a baby. Because according to her, I had a rash one time, and that was what she suspected. But no further conversations from my mother followed. She didn't get me any help. She never talked to me directly about this. And to this day, we still have not had a conversation about this. And I've since, lost my whole family because, she warned me that she was going to cut me off if I really wrote the truth about what really happened. And so, to my own detriment, I've written this book and have cleared my father's name. But what nobody saw coming was the biggest hit of his life that happened, a few months after this book was published, clearing his name. And really speaking about and being someone who is like standing up for me and for him. And now I am watching him quite literally fight for his life. So that's where I went. I went to Chattanooga, Tennessee. My dad is located in a town outside of there, a very small town in Tennessee. So I got to meet some of the people that are currently supporting him in this journey. They are not, family members. These are people he's met in a church group or people he knew through his sister's husband. And they've miraculously, stepped up and are taking him to treatments. They are supporting him while he's going through chemotherapy. My dad had so much thick hair prior to these treatments, and now his hair is thinning. He's lost a lot of weight. His appearance has shifted significantly as what really does happen if you've ever had a loved one that you've watched go through cancer and just kind of diminish in front of your very eyes. It was really, really challenging. I mean, it was great to make that time to see him, but also it was really hard to see him in the diminished condition that he currently is in. And he's got the biggest battle of his life ahead of him. And the coolest thing I feel like about this trip, besides getting to spend some much needed time with my dad, was flying out of Peoria, Illinois, which is where I'm from. I was praying about what book should I bring with me. Lord, what book? I have a whole library of beautiful books and authors. Some I haven't read yet. And I just felt like nothing. You'll find something at the airport is kind of what I heard. I hear this voice. It's gotten clearer as I've journeyed, and the more I listen to this voice, the more pronounced and the louder it becomes, to the point where I pray about everything now. I prayed about the flight to take there. Normally there's a direct flight Peoria to Nashville, and I heard, don't take that one. So I opted for the more expensive flight from Peoria with a connection in Charlotte, North Carolina, and then flying out from there to Chattanooga. So it's 2 separate flights on the way there and back, which is definitely more inconvenient, but I felt led to take those flights. Come to find out, the day I left, the short-term flight from Peoria to Nashville got canceled. So I could not have flown out. So thankfully God comes through time and time again in these situations when I pray about, like, hey, this looks like the most obvious route to go down, but God, what are you saying about it? Like, what do you have in mind for me? Is this the path you have? Every year we go to Michigan, me and my family travel and enjoy the beach there. And this year I felt called to stay home, go see the fireworks. So I hope you had a great 4th of July. That's what we did. We went downtown on the riverfront, watched the fireworks, saw some friends at a cookout, swam all day. It was one of the best 4th of Julys I feel like I've ever gotten to experience. And when we checked the weather in Michigan, it was raining for the past few days. So had we gone down, not only would fireworks probably have been canceled, we wouldn't have, really enjoyed the trip, which is primarily for us to be outside on a boat, on the lake, enjoying that, and we could not have done that. So I always find out in hindsight when I pray about things ahead of time and I hear his voice so clearly directing me. He doesn't give me reasons why. I never hear, don't get on that flight because it's going to be canceled. I just hear, don't take that one, take this one. And I'll ask why, and oftentimes there's no response. And I think that's because he's a God that loves to surprise us and to keep us in awe and in wonder of his plan at work, even when we might just see a small little part of it at the time. After you look back, you can really see what he's been doing. For example, when I went and saw my dad in Nashville, Tennessee, I was called to take a trip. Me, my husband, my daughter Nevada, who's 6, Lincoln, whose birthday is tomorrow. He is going to be 12 years old. I'm so excited for him. And I'm so excited to celebrate him and so thankful to be here to do that. And I don't know, there's just so many times we got called to go to Nashville. Out of the blue, I felt like. This was a couple of years ago. I heard, take your dad to Nashville, get your whole family down there, get your dad a hotel room, buy the hotel room, pay for everything. Just tell him, because he was going through a divorce. And in this divorce, unfortunately, he had signed a document and he got 10%, while my stepmom got like 90% of everything, because my dad, he signed something saying that was okay, and in hindsight regretted it. Anyways, he was held to his 10%. So, I felt like just pay for everything for him, even though I didn't know why. He hadn't been diagnosed. The book wasn't out yet. I was still writing, still working on it. So we took him there, we took him out to eat, we treated him to a hotel room, we listened to the live music in downtown Nashville. We made so many amazing memories with my dad. And now I know in hindsight why we really took that trip, why I was called, why Brett and I felt so passionately about getting down there. And we got my brother at the time together with my dad, so my dad could be around the 4 of his grandkids all together, which was something that hadn't happened in a really long time. And unfortunately, I don't think my brother's open to connecting with me, just because, like I said, I don't know if you followed it, but I walked into a restaurant locally where my whole family was celebrating my sister's 40th birthday. And as my brother and my sister-in-law left, they barely even looked at me. So I didn't feel comfortable reaching out and being like, hey, want to eat together? Unfortunately, and that's not my heart. That's not what I want. But hopefully I trust God that he has a plan, that he's bringing all things together, and he's always working, behind the scenes, even when we don't really know. So now I know why I took that trip to Nashville to see my dad, take time out of our busy lives, out of our schedule, take our kids down there, fly down there. I know that now, but I did not know that at the time. And my book is full of stories like this. As I have started to hear God's voice, and it's developed so loudly. It's a calm, still voice, very loving, kind, encouraging. And it sounds oftentimes like it could be mine, but it's more authoritative, more certain. And that's how God's voice presents to me. And that is literally what you're watching me follow every step of the way, even if I don't know. Before my dad went to the hospital and got diagnosed with one of the 2 forms of cancer he currently has, I had sent him an Apple iWatch for his birthday. His birthday was in January, and I just felt like he needs to take better care of his health. This was just this feeling on my heart where I was like, he needs to watch his health and he needs to watch the swelling in his feet. I sent him Bamba socks for his ankles, and I wasn't sure, like, why am I sending him, socks for Christmas and this, like, all about his health, like, watch your health. Like, I just felt that so strongly and imperatively, to the point where I sent him a watch to monitor it. And it was around this time, after all of that had happened, that he went in and got diagnosed with at my prompting, you need to go to the doctor. You gotta go, something's going on. And so God does give us these warnings, these promptings. And I believe it's not just me that has the ability and the direct line to him that I have. I believe you have it too. And I think you know his voice. He's always speaking to you. It's just what you're choosing to listen to. If you're listening to the kind voice inside of you, like you see like the picture of the devil, and then there's the angel, the voice where it's like, you're stupid and you can't do anything right. But then there's the voice that's like, you got this. The kinder voice that's like, I love you. You can handle anything because I'm with you and you're strong. You're not weak like this voice is telling you, and I will get you through anything. Once I started focusing on that voice, on listening to it, the whole world opened up in a new and magnificent way that I am still journeying through. And that voice is getting stronger and louder and leading me. And I'm so excited to have you to journey with. And I can't thank you enough for tuning in and listening to all these updates. And I pray they are helping you. So I get to the airport, and sure enough, like, I'm walking around, there's really no books at the Peoria airport. I'm like, what the heck? Like, God, you told me I'd find something here. Except I never knew they had this there. And I don't know how long they have had it there, but they have a rack of donated books. People donate them. And then if you want one, it's just random books. Then you pay a donation, whatever you want, at the counter. And I was like, wow, that's a really cool idea. So I'm going to go and pay it forward and bring them a couple copies of my book, donated and signed. So if you need something and are in the Peoria area, keep an eye open. Hopefully a copy will still be available for you. But I picked up this book. It's called The Wheel of Life, a memoir of living and dying. And it's by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And I know she is a successful figure, but I had no idea about her work while she was here. I never really studied her or heard a lot about her previously. And it just turned out to be the perfect book to read on my flights there and back. And I still have like another chapter to finish while I'm at home. But the word, God often uses things in my life like songs or books or poems, and it's like certain words are highlighted. And what I mean highlighted is they stand out, and I literally feel like chills in my whole body, only I'm not cold. And it's just like this glory feeling, like this amazing, pulsating, like loved, known. It's just all riveting, all vibrating up and down my body. And it is the best feeling. And I'm like, why don't I feel that all the time? But I feel it when it's something I believe God is illuminating to me for my journey. And just in this book, she writes about acceptance. And so that's something that I'm really trying to apply to my journey. Just accepting who I am, where I am in my journey, and looking at that for the broken, beautiful, amazing thing that it is, that each of us are in a stage of life that is beautifully broken, whether you're journeying with a parent who has cancer, walking out estrangement, dealing with the loss, pain in your body. Maybe you're struggling and not knowing what's going on with yourself and chronic pain, and you're in the midst of that journey. Just accepting where you're at and embracing it. Simultaneously, I feel like I've discovered this place where everything can be falling apart and it can be your worst nightmare and you're literally walking it out. And just when you think that nightmare is over, you're ushered promptly into a new one. Life comes at us like that sometimes, and some more than others, and sometimes it's just unrelenting. But the truth is, when you accept and you work toward that acceptance, where I'm at right now, I am working toward accepting my life circumstances. I'm such a fighter, right? Like by nature, I'm like, oh, like, I don't know if it's the basketball post player in me or just my spirit is just like, let's go, you know? But I felt led through Elizabeth's beautifully written book to really dive into what it truly looks like to lay down our fight and just accept the actions of other people, whether positively or negatively. They choose what to do with their free will. And that is beautiful. God has given each of us free will. But the struggle for me has been when someone else's free will and their actions hurt and cut so deeply. You know, I've known what it feels like to get the proverbial wind knocked out of me over and over again by the same people I thought I could trust. And I was wrong. I could not trust these people. But where is the lesson in that? And what can be learned from accepting this is something that happened, but it doesn't have to define my future? When we accept how people treat us, I think, and work toward that acceptance, I think that is a level of beauty. And it takes that burden off our shoulders. Like, we're not responsible for the hurt that people cause us. It's not our fault that people hurt us, but the responsibility comes with what we do with that hurt. And I continually ask God, like, take this from me. I forgive these people. I don't want to be, burdened with the hurt other people have caused me. And honestly, just struggling with working through my dad's cancer diagnosis. Like, I believe and have said that he has many more years left. However, it's gutting to see, his hair. Like, he has this thick hair, and now it's like the last day I saw him, he's like, I guess I'm just gonna start wearing a hat now. And it's just like watching him struggle, to accept his current state, despite not knowing with this stage 3 diagnosis, am I really gonna make it? Am I not dealing with all of these things? My heart just went out to him. But more than anything, I'm like, what is it that I need to do a better job of accepting today? Yes, it might not be ideal. I might be going through something very, very hard, but I have to accept that, to make peace with this. Not that I don't believe God can't change our circumstances, absolutely. But what about in the midst, right? Where you're still waiting on the promise and what you feel God has spoken to you, or you haven't heard anything at all and are just seeking clarity. How do we find acceptance in the midst of such deeply hard, life-challenging circumstances? So I'm feeling led to do a series on acceptance and what that looks like and the stages of acceptance. So look for that coming in the future. What are you struggling with in your journey today to accept? Maybe a hurt someone else has caused you, an illness of a family member, just so many questions without answers, and then more questions without answers. I challenge you to reach out and pray about these things, and don't hesitate to ask for support from friends, from family, from strangers even. Never stop trying. Never stop seeking. And I think that is the fight in me now. It used to be like I gotta fight against other people hurting me, but now I realize the fight is within myself, and the fight is for peace, right? Because that is the ultimate acceptance, that peace that passes understanding. And you can be in the midst of the worst storm of your life, but have this sense of calmness and peace, and nobody can take that from you. All right, that's all I got for you today. Have a great weekend, friends, and I'll catch you next time.